Welcome back. Another episode of RX Radio. This one, too, coming to you live from Columbus, Ohio. Don't worry, we didn't spend a lot of time there. We just recorded a lot of podcasts in a short period of time. So this is me and co-host Dr. Jordan Jiunta, co-founder of Prescript, myself sitting down, kind of discussing some of the principles around, should you be a coach? Are you that guy? Talking a little bit about the personal training industry, its evolution since our inception in it so many years ago. If you guys are enjoying the podcast, make sure you check us out on YouTube. I bang my head against the wall. This one right here, you'll be able to see it if you're watching it on YouTube. That one right there. Trying to set up all of this audio visual shit because I don't do cameras. So shout out to Lundy and J Marsh for being endlessly patient and making this possible. Last week's episode, Dr. Dwayne Jackson, Gut Health, got a lot of great feedback. The Gut Health course is currently up for sale live right now, www.pre-script.com. 8 weeks goes into everything, into practical applications of understanding the microbiome and microbiota, nutritional interventions to improve gut health for you or your clients, performance indicators and KPIs and how we can start to track progress. Really, such an in-depth course, such a great lecturer as well. I mean, for those of you unaware of Dwayne's academic background, second to none. University professor at the University of Western Ontario, PhD and postdoc from Yale University. Is behind pretty much every supplement that's worth taking in the supplement industry, has had his say and stamp of approval. Dwayne is a bit of a dynamo, technician, tactician, great coach. He works with people that frankly we can't even talk about, and I'm not going to out any of them, but from A-list celebrities to pro athletes, D-Jack is the man, and he's able to break down his approach, the scientific application, evidence-based approach of improving gut health and improving performance, longevity, and just getting better results for your clients and ultimately having clients feel better. So the Gut Health Nutrition course up live for sale, www.pre-script.com. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Kind of a throwback. Me and Jay Style get in the room where all of this started. So for all you OG RX Radio fans will get a kick out of this one. And if you're a coach, a lot of takeaways. Pay attention to the language as per usual. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. Lundy, hit it.
You're tuned in to RX Radio.
Felt weird bringing cameras into this hotel room. Because, depending on what state you're in, bringing cameras into a hotel room means different things.
I think it only means one thing, no matter what state you're in.
No. These tapes, when you're in Ohio, people kill hookers. That's what hotel rooms are for. They're not for OnlyFans.
Right. Oh, OnlyFans was an option.
Oh, what was yours?
It was all kill hookers.
Oh, really?
Or porn. It was porn. It was all porn. I don't know.
The kill hooker porn. The
Yeah.
Pennsylvania special. The old dark web. Yeah, no, this is, these things, when the wallpaper looks like this, these videos are hard to find.
Yeah.
These are admitted as evidence. That's what these videos are. Jesus Christ, of all the cities that don't have to. It's amazing, actually, how much of America is cities that don't have to exist.
Yeah.
Let's go down a list, shall we? Let's piss off everyone who listens to our podcast. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
This might be, I see Philly's got good history. Can't throw Philly in the mix. We like Philly.
Okay.
Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
A mediocre city at best. Jacksonville, Florida. It's just every state has its there's a schmillion people that live here. And the country would be just copacetic without this whole place.
Yeah. There's less cities than I have fingers on one hand that I would actually live in, I think, in this country.
San Jose is on that list.
It is.
San Jose is the Charlotte, North Carolina of the West. And the funny thing is, Ohio's so weird to me. Because Ohio is the south of the north. There's no other way to explain the number of Confederate flags. It's you're bad at social studies and geography. But here we are, nonetheless, coming off the backs or going into, a Swiss weekend.
Yep.
Swiss, for those of you unaware, Swiss has been around, 20-something years. Wow. And we have a handful of guests lined up for the weekend, but we thought, why not use this opportunity for Jay and I to kill a hooker on television? To get back on the pod. Yeah, I mean, I got a few things I'd want to riff on. Is there anything that you, anything that's been pissing you off lately that we can talk about?
I don't know if we should talk about it on the podcast, but why don't you start us off?
I feel like
here?
the biggest thing that, like, it is insane to me how people don't realize how much they think in content.
Yeah.
The preoccupation of life as content now is absolutely insane.
So true.
Like, you talk to people, you see now we're in the fitness industry. It's maybe a little bit different, or we hope it's a little bit different. But it's like the number of people that I interact with every day that, like, just beneath the surface, or sometimes right at the surface, is the conscious thought of generating something in a caption to put on the internet or a photo to put on the internet. I'm like, it's nuts. The industry is insane. And it's funny to see the people who do really well are the people, I would say there's a common trend in people who do well in the industry, and is they're able to use social media rather than being used by social media.
Right.
So here at Swiss, the reason I bring it up is, there's a ton of successful people in the industry. And it's like the one differentiating factor, or one of the differentiating factors between the people in the audience and the people making the presentations is, it's easy to put a finger on this, but it's creator versus consumer.
Yes.
People who, like, I don't follow anyone's. Can I tell you something? I've actually never been to a conference. I've never been to one of these. And people who come to them aspire to be in them. Some of them do. But it's like, I think the shortest route to being in one of these is to just never go. Because if you're coming to these, it's like on a weekend where you're just not spending time on the thing that actually matters, right? Like, it's a distraction. And I think so many people have no idea or aren't aware of how many distractions they self-impose. It's not even like self-sabotage anymore. It's like, because self-sabotage is great. Because it's fun. I love self-sabotage. It's like, oh, man, I went on a bender last weekend. Like, good for you. Everyone knows that benders are bad, right? So you're like, oh, something's good's going on in my life. I'm going to fuck it up. But at least it was fun. It's the worst is when the people who don't have fun and they're ruining their lives and they don't even realize they're doing it.
That sounds terrible.
Like, I went to a course this weekend, which is like, we offer courses, and I'm telling you, like, have a weekend. Yeah. Like, I'd rather you go on a bender, because when you're not where you want to be in 5 years, at least you'll be like, yeah, but I did a lot of blow, right? Like, but people masquerade at, and I don't want to say events like this. I think, we hold Swiss in a really high regard, but just distractions, and like, whether it's social media, whether it's like, oh, I need to, like, improve my content game. It's like, what? Like, it's just the imposition of, like, I think of the scene in The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob is, like, just constantly stepping on rakes. He just steps and there's a rake and it smacks him in the face. It's like, that's how watching people navigate their, like, fitness business in the social media sphere is just like watching a bunch of Sideshow Bobs just step on rakes. It's nuts. It's nuts. And it's just like, you feel bad for calling people out on that. It's like, hey, man, you've been talking a lot about your business. I noticed you dyed your hair. Maybe you could have used those 3 hours to do something productive. Like, dude, if I ever got tinfoil on my head, I'm in your dad's bunker with a meat freezer full of chicken and an M60 fucking belt-fed machine gun. Like, that's the only time I got tinfoil on my head. People are just, I don't know, man. I'm losing it. I'm losing it fast. It's just, I'm concerned about the state of the industry.
Yeah. I think you bring up an interesting point around what people are consuming, right? Because there's two sides of the coin here. The people that are here, we'll use that as a general term. The people that are consuming the speakers and the knowledge out there, right? They're simply just a consumer of that, right? Versus the other side of that coin is people that are speaking at these things or have experience and are spreading some sort of message. Is what are they consuming? And it's not social media. They're not, doing this so that they could plan the caption for the social media post afterwards. They're consuming things that are going to give them experience in whatever subject matter they're an expert in, so that they have a story to tell, right? It's not just kind of figuring out or kind of finding that niche of, okay, this is the stuff that I'm interested in. It's actually trying to push it further is what they're doing.
Yeah. But my concern is that they've Trojan horsed their way past the wall. That we're listening to people now who don't do anything.
Oh, that's absolutely
That's
true.
my biggest,
Yes.
my biggest fear. I talk a lot, like a lot.
That's true.
So some would say,
Yes.
I talk for a living. But I'm so I don't want to say I get worried about imposter syndrome because I've done a lot. And I feel like I've said this on the podcast before, but it's like my concern is when, and I don't want to talk about this one in Swiss in particular, as Ken's done a great job and like it's the who's who of who's done things. Mm-hmm. What I like about Swiss is that the speakers are very similar faces. They're very similar faces because they're people who've been doing what they've been doing for a long time. And how else can you can't pop up a wealth of knowledge like that. You can't have that experience just pop up overnight. Right? Like I think Ken rolled the dice on me in 2018 when I spoke here my first time. But even then, like I kind of done a lot of shit by then. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's just, but my concern with the industry now, it's like, I think of it. Do you ever watch the movie The Big Short?
No.
Do you ever watch it? Unreal. What? You watch the weirdest. Oh man! If it's on a flight, watch it.
All right.
So it gave me somewhat of a peripheral understanding around the housing crisis in 2008. How familiar are you with that?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay, so it talked about these things called collateralized debt obligations. So essentially, and because the movie was shot really clever, it was like whenever it came across like this thing where, as the actors played out, as true too, but obviously like Hollywood silver screen version of it, they played out like what happened, the events leading into it, and a few parties that were able to like see the writing on the wall with like the volatility of the mortgage market and all that. Inevitably, there's parts of the movie where like if the producer didn't explain to the audience some of these more technical terms, you would just lose the plot. You'd have no idea. But it's like, well, how do I tactfully put in like a definition for these terms? So what they did was like just randomly cut. So then talking about collateralized debt obligations, they went to a poker table and it was I don't know, Selena Gomez, like the Disney singer, a really big famous singer, and maybe Alan Greenspan or something like that. And so they were sitting at a poker table in Vegas and they just like it cut to them and they were like, we're going to explain to you a collateralized debt obligation. So they were playing blackjack or something. And so they were going around and like, okay, Selena's got a good hand. She's going to make a bet that she's going to beat the thing. That's like how a normal thing worked in the market if you were betting for or against the stock to do well. Collateralized debt obligations were things that were made on the outcome of those bets, right? So it was like you had people betting on other people's bets, right? So it'd be like if you were to bet on the Packers to win, I was going to bet on you. I wasn't really betting on the Packers. I was betting on you. And I had different odds and there was different amounts of money involved. It was the market of like CDOs that ended up being the destabilizing factor because one single mortgage bond ended up actually carrying with it like 100x the amount of potential debt because people were leveraging those. And so when one went wrong, it wasn't just the implication of one going wrong. It was the spiral domino effect of everyone losing those bets that were betting on those, right? So that, and I'm probably bastardizing that a little bit. My concern with the industry now is that people are listening to people talk about talking, right? So like there's no risk involved because no one's actually doing anything, right? And that's like I remember years ago. A family member of mine had like a young niece and nephew. And I remember watching, it was when I was living in the Bay Area. I came home and the kid was like on the couch watching YouTube on TV. Didn't even know I could do that on the TV that I had at the time. And he was watching someone else play a video game in like past tense. And I was like, oh, does he like... Oh, so he's like trying to figure out a cheat code or like how to finish a level. I was like, no, he doesn't even have this video game. And I was like, so did he play his video games? He's like, yeah, but he just likes watching people play. And I was like, that's bad. Like that's bad. That's like that's a break in the matrix where it's like the removal of actually doing the thing that everyone talks about. Because like, whether it's, the stage of social media and obviously not Swiss, but others, I see seminars and symposiums that get put on, and I'm like, what are you guys? Because you used to be, you went out into the field, you did something, and you came back to report. That's how it is in most other industries. But fitness is like talking about talking is a really I think dangerous and destabilizing factor. Because you're going to get a product at the end of the day that becomes logarithmically worse. And I think we're seeing that. I honestly think that we, at large, or maybe we're seeing like the average sink and the highs get higher and the lows get lower. But like, I think the product of personal training is been severely devalued over the last like 5 or 6 years.
Absolutely agree with that. I think social media has a big role in that also, because people see things on social media and they think of it as education, or it is information, but there's none of that vetting process of how good that information is. And there's a very low bar in what it takes to become a personal trainer. When it used to, honestly, like when I was growing up, it would just be the big people you listen to because they were the ones that had the experience and got big. It's like, okay, maybe it's not the best way. Maybe it's not science-based. Maybe it's not evidence-based. But that guy's fucking big. So you listen to the big guy. And no one's going to go to the scrawny personal trainer. But you take that away, because a lot of personal trainers that we work with aren't in gyms anymore. They're online personal trainers. And they're online personal trainers putting out content for people that don't really know how to understand if that's valuable content or not. And it just, like you said, it gets diluted. It gets watered down because now it's not, oh, I see the guy that got big from doing this stuff, so I'm going to work with him and get big too. It's, I see this guy on the internet that appeals to me. I don't know if he's any good at his job because I'm not a fucking personal trainer, or I don't know how to differentiate whether this is good or bad information. And these people build businesses and they make money and they're able to survive off of having this lower tier product.
I think at the very least, the big guy in the gym offers the solution to most people's problem, that either they need a kick in the ass and they need to be told to work hard, which if someone got big, they, obviously you can talk about steroids and all that stuff, but like for the most part, they put in the work, right? Drugs or no drugs, they put in the work. And that's what most people need to do. They need to put in the work, right? So it's easier to listen to someone talk about like being disciplined if they've done the thing that's hard to do and it's really hard to do and almost impossible to do without discipline. So like, and that's the problem that people face. It's, whether they realize it or not, it's not like, oh, I don't know what exercise to do after bicep curls or whatever. It's like, I need to be told to go to the gym, or I need someone like to listen to. And I think, so the accountability is one piece, but also like proof that it can be done. Like, I brought up Roger Bannister like a lot on recent podcasts because I think it's such an interesting intersection of like sport meeting like societal phenomenon of like there's so many things, and it's just such an easy like visceral one to point at that everyone thinks is impossible until it happens, right? And Roger Bannister, when he broke the 4-minute mile, the next weekend guys were breaking the 4-minute mile. I think a lot of people struggle with the idea, like in the belief that getting in good shape is possible, right? They think it's all just in the movies, or they think it's for people who can work out 6 hours a day. And I think at the very least, if we just went back to like, hey, listen to the jacked guy, and that's knowledge, not information. You dig to the bedrock or the pain point in most people's inability to reach their goals, which is either they're not motivated or they actually don't think it can be done. Right. And it's like a big person who might not know all that stuff can solve for those two variables, which will bring you way further than like, well, actually, based off of the science, you should probably superset this rather than drop set. It's like, what? You have to be able to reach people on a human level. And I think, two things to your point. One, we're talking about the product getting worse over the years. Like, I think COVID obviously accelerated that because it forced the personal training industry to go online. And then just across the board, people just don't want to work anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, the idea of passive income to me is like a very dangerous, meaningless pursuit. Like, I think not only is the product of personal training worse at large, but I think the lifestyle or the mental state of personal trainers is way worse. And I bet you they're making more money than they ever have.
Absolutely. Yeah. The word that comes to mind for me is entitlement. And there's a lot of entitlement. People think that they deserve to be paid a certain amount, even though they don't really know what they're doing. And I see it. I mean, I see it in the Bay Area a lot with like people that do real jobs in the real world. Like these kids come out of school and they're like, all right, I need to be making $180,000 my first job or I'm not going to take it. Like shit like that. But that carries over. I think it's just a way of thinking with the generation of people that are getting into the personal training industry that they have that entitlement and they bring it into, okay, they may not know what they're doing, but the influencers that they follow charge a lot of money, so they're going to charge a lot of money, and they're going to say similar things and do similar things, even though it's a watered-down product.
Do you think that there's any regulation on the horizon, or do you think it's purely free market?
I think it's free market.
That's concerning.
Yeah. I don't know how you would regulate it.
Yeah.
Outside of, if you're not good at what you do, you don't make money.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we could probably find videos of hookers getting killed in this very hotel room. So if you can't regulate that, good luck regulating the reps and sets. And I think the dangerous part about that is how little market penetration online personal training actually has currently, right? Like the percentage of people who don't have a personal trainer versus do, especially have an online coach, is astronomically disproportionate, right? Like there is, let's say 5% of the population works with a personal trainer or coach. That might be general. I maybe even say 5% of the gym going population works with a personal trainer or coach.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so there is opportunities for this product and service to get way worse. Imagine if like in the next 20, 25 years, the number of people with gym memberships doubled and the number of unique check-ins in a week in any given health club across America doubled. And you just kept the same relative percentage of that 5%. Like that, you're talking tens of thousands of people with trainers now that are able to, I'm going to air quote the word service, 100+ clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
Like that level, quantity and scale are two things that rarely go hand in hand. Quality and scale are two things that rarely go hand in hand. And it's almost as a byproduct of scale is a decrease in quality. I just don't. I think the answer is always like take care of yourself, take care of your people. But I just think taking a hard look at what creators consume versus what consumers consume. If you're on the fence of trying to potentially be a creator, because that's where you think the money and the fulfillment is, and people like. I don't know. I'm sure it's a status thing to a certain degree, but like paying attention to what the people that you pay attention to, like the one thing that I never understood reading biographies, like, oh, I really liked this guy, I'm going to read his biography. It's like, no, I want to know the people he learned from. So that's how I actually first came across, my favorite book is If This Is a Man by Primo Levi. But if I could have dinner with one person, it would be David Blaine. I think David Blaine is like the most absurd human being to ever walk the face of the earth. Right? He's like swallowing frogs. He's spitting them up. He's putting fucking spears through his bicep. He's freezing himself. He's in a water tank for like 40 days. He's in a glass box for like a month. Like I would be hard pressed. I'd be curious to see who your answer was, but I'd be hard pressed to think of someone more interesting than David Blaine.
Dang.
And I listened to a podcast, David Blaine, years ago, and he talked about Primo Levi. And I remember reading about Primo Levi when I studied history and, the Second World War and all that. And I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I've actually never read that book. And I read that book. I'm sure there's a biography on David Blaine somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck. Don't care. I care. Well, no. I care so much as to see what he cares about.
Right.
And that was like a really interesting perspective because like I have no aspirations to do this, but I drew something, and you know what? I probably drew something different from that book that he did. But the fact that it was like a commonality of like, you know, I'm going to listen to that because I'm going to go to the source material, right? I'm not going to just stick to the abstract, right? I'm going to go to the thing that the person who I, you know, admire, look up to, am interested in. What are they after? You know what I mean? Who would be yours?
That's a really interesting question because I think a lot of people look up to people in that way when I've never really gravitated towards people in that way. Like it's more ideas for me. So it's not like I have this one person that I think is like super interesting that I follow their life or that I care to follow and learn the way that they learn. But I think if I had to answer this question, and I will answer this question.
Thank you.
Yeah, for the sake of this conversation, I think it might be Elon Musk.
Really?
It's between him and Steve Jobs. Because they've done things, and they are doing things that are literally pushing the human race forward. Right? You could throw Bill Gates in there too. I don't know exactly. I don't know who to credit with the internet, but like the technology that literally we wouldn't be having any of this conversation if it wasn't for the technology that they've built. So I think it's probably someone that was innovative enough to have an idea so far outside of the direction that the world was going that it literally changed the way that the world operates after that idea.
So by that thought, would you then take Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI? Would you throw him in there?
Ooh, yeah. I think I don't know enough about him to say, but that's an idea that I think will change the way that we live, and I think it will impact every single human's life on this planet at some point in the next, not even that long, maybe 5 to 10 years. So yeah, I think it's that way of thinking or being able to think in a way that is so abstract to the way that people go about their lives. It's exactly kind of what we started with, is that everyone else out there on an iPhone right now, they're a consumer. Steve Jobs had an idea that was, you know, what's this guy doing that's going to create this idea that's going to change the way that we live our lives? What is he thinking about as opposed to the people that are just, you know, scrolling on the internet day after day?
It's funny because I think about this, like a similar relationship of like people missing the mark when it comes to like, you know, what they really want to get, what they say and what they really want. Like, you know, I look at guys like, and not to be disparaging, but like someone like David Goggins, to me is like, just a laughable figure. And like, look, I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's intense. He runs a lot, which is like, yeah, that's great, man. You know, I think anyone who is like a culture vulture of the military, I think it should be held in, you know, just disdain from the population. Like, you know, I saw him get interviewed about like Navy SEAL practices and getting tear gas and stuff. And like he had talked about it. I was like, dude, like Navy SEALs isn't about Buds Camp. Like Navy SEAls is about going over and serving and probably never talking about it. Yeah. And I know friends in the military who look at that and they go like, well, that's, you know, that's, you're kind of standing on the grave. But anyways, there's nothing funnier to me. Well, there's a lot of things funnier to me, but this is something I find humorous. I find David Goggins to be Uber driver motivation. Right? Like an Uber driver who talks about like the hustle. Yeah. It's like, you know who the real hustler in this whole equation is? Is, you know, the fourth or fifth guy in the dev team at Uber. That guy who no one really knows about, who like laid down the foundational network that allowed Uber to exist as a company and change, like you said, change the world forever, right? Ride sharing and really, you know, Uber is integral and part of like the sharing economy, right? Like, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen like the picture go around of the, you know, the biggest transportation company doesn't own any cars. The biggest hotel chain doesn't own any hotels. The biggest publication doesn't own a printing press or whatever, like Facebook. So it's like, I see that and I just see an Uber driver that will pick me up in 5 years, right? Because you're missing the mark. Like I think getting clear on, because, you know, there's always this like conversation about motivation and discipline, which like I don't think I want to add to the noise of that. I think, you know, some people might look at motivation and and not be empathetic, because some people are like, oh, like motivation doesn't exist, you just need discipline. But maybe it just depends on your relationship to the task that you deem motivational or an expression of discipline. Some people, it takes discipline to put on a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And that you might call it inspirational. Like, oh, I'm going to watch inspiration. But some people, like, you know, their proximity to that task of like going into YouTube, knowing that they feel like they need this, maybe having a certain level of shame about it, that might actually take discipline to like turn that podcast on every day to hype you up.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who's disciplined and you don't need that, you'll look at that and be like, well, that's not really discipline. But it's like, okay, you're just not at, like, so I look at those things on a continuum. But I find that like if people aren't careful with what or who, person or idea motivates them, and they don't dig into like deeper questioning about where they go, I feel like it's you're taking a step off on a path on the wrong foot, right? Like I think you know, being able to distill down like the core, like people, you know, again, I don't want to be disparaging. I'm sure he's helped a lot of people. Tony Robbins comes to mind, right? Like just mass market, raw stuff. And it's like, I know successful people who were successful by their own right before they got involved with any Tony Robbins stuff. I have personally, and if this is you, I apologize, met someone who has spent the thousands of dollars to go to one of these things that has made a substantial change in their life.
Right. Well, I think you bring up a good point, whether it's motivation or discipline. The way that I think what matters most is it intrinsic or extrinsic, right? It's hard for me to think that Steve Jobs was extrinsically motivated to do what he did and build Apple and change the way that we look at technology and use technology today, right? He was probably very intrinsically motivated to do whatever it was, to learn whatever he needed to learn, to do the thing that was in his brain that he had to do, that he was compelled to do. So I look at it as, if you're relying on extrinsic motivation, or if you're relying on an extrinsic source of discipline, then you probably aren't very passionate about whatever you're trying to do. Is if it's something that you need to pull upon something external to get that discipline or motivation to be able to do, versus if you have that fire burning inside of you that really is pushing you towards whatever it is that you're going to do.
Yeah, passion's a weird one, because more often than not, when I hear people cite passion, I find those people to act in what I would deem to be a relatively dispassionate way. People who talk about, like I'm really passionate about X, Y, or Z. It's like, yeah, everyone's passionate about stuff when things are going well.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, are you when the ship's going down, where are you going to be? Right? And I think that question doesn't get either posed enough or answered honestly enough. Because I just think people need to admit to themselves, and like I had to do this. I started studying history and political science, and I was like, oh, I'm going to, you know, I liked the idea of teaching from a young age. I liked the subject matter of history and political science. I was headed down like master's and PhD route. That's what I was going to be. I was going to be Professor Jordan, the history and political science professor. But it's like, I just had like, and I can point numerous times in my life where I was like headed down a path and had to admit to myself that it ain't it.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, it's okay if fitness or whatever you're doing is not it. Like I did that. 2 years in, sunk a bunch of money, you know, had to uproot my life, moved to Toronto from Windsor, you know, lived in a shitty dorm room by myself. And then this kid, then we fought and he left, and then I was by myself again, and that was a nightmare. And, you know, then I ended up moving to California by myself. I was like, okay, I don't know, chiropractor, I guess. It sounds like a ton of debt. Or like I was married and I was the husband guy at like a pretty young age relative to a lot of my friends. And like, yeah, a few years in, I had to admit to myself, like, hey man, this ain't it. Like, and you know, like no shade or anything like that. But it's just like, I think people are so, I don't know what it is. I don't want to say afraid to change, but maybe that's the best way to word it. Like, I know like there was some fear in, you know, changing programs, but like to me it was such an obvious like trade-off of, dude, the opposite is worse.
Right.
The opposite is obviously worse, right? But maybe it's not so obvious. Like, I don't know. People in fitness and training and coaching, and it's the ceiling is, forget about it, 9 figures. Fuck, if you get into something like a big, you're talking Equinox, Peloton, like you're looking bills, dog. Like you're looking up 10-figure companies. Now, obviously, there's a lot that goes into that, but I don't think there's an industry with a ceiling so high with a barrier of entry so low, right? And I think it's enticing, but I think people can get caught in this riptide, this undercurrent of the industry where it's like they don't dislike it enough to find what they're actually passionate about. And everyone likes lifting weights. It's chemically kind of hardwired into the majority of us to feel good when we do it. But it's like, you gotta understand the difference between endorphins and passion, homie. Like it's not. Otherwise, you're gonna be marrying every hooker you run into, right? Like and then killing them in this hotel room. I want to blue light this room. By the way, this couch has got me real suspect. I know there's nothing on that because that's the cuck chair. So there's nothing. There's no mess on that. It's where I'm sitting is the big concern.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's so endorphins and passion, and I think exercise is it's a bit of a trap. I think the industry can be a bit of a trap. I look at personal training a lot like I look at stripping. Right, I know some women of the night that they were just going to strip their way through undergrad. I was just going to train my way through undergrad.
Classic story.
It was as old as time, really. And the funny thing is, those people usually find each other, right? The 40-year-old bald personal trainer who uses too much melanotan is always with a ripper. Always. Same. But it's like, I think people have a hard time across the board, but I think fitness poses with it some comfortabilities in lifestyle, relative ease in, being above the bottom 10%, being like painfully or dangerously comfortable or comfortably numb in your day-to-day. That, look, man, it goes fast, and I'm the fucking old guy now, but let me tell you, I woke up yesterday and I was coming out of high school, and now I'm 33, 10 years out in practice. And lucky for me, I was so dumb that these decisions weren't hard.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I want to do that thing now. And I was like, well, I'm going to start doing the other thing now. It's like, oh, that's a big commitment that you 2 years in history and political science. Okay, bye. I'm going. Or like, I don't want to be married anymore. It's like, yeah, like maybe I was just so dumb and it was a blessing that I didn't know it was going to be hard. But fuck, man, like people, like clock is ticking because I swear to God, tomorrow we're going to wake up and we're going to be 50. And people just, and you know what? You might not ever regret not making the decision, but you don't know what you're missing. And I'm not saying like, yo, if you're not 100% in, quit your fucking job tomorrow, tell your fitness manager to go fuck his hand. I'm saying like, take an inventory, man. Talk to someone, talk to your friends, talk to people in the industry. I've had people reach out to me, and it's like, it's a scary trap. And it's not, no one should settle, I don't think, right? Like, no, it's true, man. Like, there's so much shit you can do. And fitness, if you aren't, like, certain, 100% certain, and, like, ask yourself based off your behaviors, you're 100% certain, right? Like, it's fucking whatever X o'clock at night. We just Ubered the fucking batteries. We got this done. We flew with this. Jay Marsh and I were just down in. Sometimes I question my certainty, but I look at the stuff that I do and go, yeah, no, I'm in, man. I'm about as in as any fucking 3 dudes could be. We're in. Yeah. And look at the way you're acting. Because some people are like, oh, yeah, no, definitely. And it's like, yeah, did you have a drink the other day? Right? Did you swipe right on Tinder rather than fucking like putting up your website? Yeah. Right? Did you follow up with that client, or did you just go fucking jerk off? Like, what are your actions telling you?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's human nature. I think being comfortable is human nature. I don't think everyone is going to be the type of person that's willing to look at themselves that way and make a change. Like, to put it in very plain hotel room terms, there's the guy fucking on the couch, and then there's the guy cucking in the chair.
I think it was Freud who said that. I think if we're paraphrasing the great Sigmund Freud at his cuckold chair philosophy.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what I like about cucks, though?
Please enlighten me.
They don't pretend to fuck. That's the biggest problem with the industry. That's my biggest problem with the industry is like you still can post like or carry on like you're passionate and you act as though if you're passionate. I've seen I've seen multiple, conventional influencers in my time, and I run into these people. I remember, without knowing what I was seeing at the time, retroactively looking back and being in the same gym with a big YouTube influencer once, and he was there with his girlfriend. I'm like, fuck, that guy looks familiar. I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube. I will be now that we're, putting together this, hotel room production of the podcast. So if you guys are listening to this on Spotify and you want to see the cuck chair, I mean, please join us over on the YouTube channel. And he literally said to his girlfriend, like, hey, let's just go get that shot and go to the movies. And it's like, what? Like, it kind of fractured a bit of my brain a bit. Yeah. It's just like, hold on a second. Wait, you're not actually going to train? You're just going to take the picture and make it look like you train? Right? And it's like, at first I was mad about the state of the industry because of people like that being an influence. As I've gotten older, I got more concerned about the psyche of the person. Right? Like, what kind of person wants to do a half-ass job? Mm-hmm. What type of person wants to, at the end of the day, when they get back from the movie, going like, yeah, today was a good day. I really fucked the dog at work, and then I watched Transformers. It's like, I don't think that that's not a fulfilling, that there's an itch, that if it's not itchy yet, give it a few more years. Give it a few more years. That's why people break bad and join fucking Greenpeace and shit, because they realize that they haven't been doing anything for anyone, including themselves, ever. And it's just, dude, you sit back and you watch these kids, and it's like, dog, like, you stop trying to be the dude. Stop trying to be the dude, because you know what the dude does? The dude shows up. That's why he's the dude. And it's like, if you're not showing up, you're not the dude. And it's like, and that's okay. And maybe you can go somewhere else and be the dude over there because you like the thing that you have to actually do to be the dude over there. But over here, in this world, in order to be the dude, you got to show up on the day, right? It's 6 a.m. It's fucking midnight. It's the bullshit you don't want to do. It's the emails. It's the follow-ups. It's the lawyers. It's the accountants. It's the fucking... It's dealing with J Marsh ripping you apart every 5 minutes. You can't get a word out with this guy just putting you right in your place.
Why is he so angry?
He's so funny, though. That's the most annoying part because he gets you every time. It's like, that was a joke at me. Fuck. But it's just do it for yourself. Find the thing that you want to show up for because fuck, I'm telling you, man. And I've seen people, and I'm stoked for people who understand the way fitness fits in their life, right? We were talking to a venture capitalist the other day, right? Who was in the VC world, and the VC world's very attractive, right? Like we're talking increments of tens, hundreds, billions of dollars, and she had done really well for herself. She's very young in the field, and she ran into. And I think more viscerally than anyone in fitness ever will, because you're dealing at a higher pace and higher quantities of money, she ran into that emptiness of like, hey, this ain't it. I don't want to be the dude like this, right? Because I can't keep showing up. So what did she do? She fucked off. She left Wall Street. She went down. She's calling us from South America. She's like, I don't know what to do with my head. I'm like, you're fucking 26 years old. But good for you. Because the guy who does it at 50 just fucking turns the car on in his garage. Yeah. Right? Like, you got time, but just, man. And then, like, I used to say this from a place of, like, stop ruining the thing that I love, that I'm passionate about, that I'm getting up. We're getting up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I guarantee you, we get to that gym at 6:30 tomorrow at a fitness conference, we will be the only people there. I will not see another presenter there tomorrow at 6:30 in the morning. I guarantee it. One exception might be Stan Efforting. You know why? Because he's the fucking dude. You know where Stan's going to be after that? on the casting couch with us on the podcast. Fuck yeah, Stan Efferding. I'm sitting there though. I'm sitting there. I'm not getting involved. Yo, you want to sit on the couch with Stan Efferding?
Oh, no.
Dude, that guy fucks for sure. Dude, Stan's a beast. No way, dude. No way. Well, this is gonna make a nice reel. No, but it's just like I'm as hard as it was to hear of someone like going through that and pursuing something. And just running into that dissonance, that fissure in your own psyche when you're trying to do something, you will stop doing it. I can't update spreadsheets. I can't. I physically cannot do it. I was an online coach. I did it early days, like way before all this shit. And, you know, the hour check-in emails and phone calls and on Excel without knowing anything about calculations. I was just using it as a place to put numbers. And I physically cannot do it. I don't do online coaching anymore. I just don't do it. Mm-hmm. I don't do it. And it was tough because it was like the money was okay. And the job was relatively easy. But, dude, I would sit there and look at Google Sheets and I'd be like, dude, no, please, anything. Yeah. Make it stop. Make it stop. With coaching, like other industries, you fall out quick because the pace is different and it's not self-paced. You have other people. You have investors. You have lawyers, all this. But, like, your situation, and I'm Chris Williamson, I quoted this the other day. He talked about like the beta region paradox, where your situation would be better if it was worse, right? Like if you were making less money, you'd have to ask yourself, what do I really need to do to kick this up a notch? Where if you're comfortable, you're not really incentivized. But I know, and I can tell because I've been doing this for so fucking long. There's a large handful of people that I talk to that I think like, look, dude, you'd be way happier doing something else. And that's okay. And if you do the thing, whatever that thing is, you're going to be the guy at the That Thing conference. You're going to be the guy, with the That Thing podcast, or you'll be the guy with the That Thing book or company or whatever. But it's like, I think people just look at like, I like that guy's hair. So I'm just going to try and do everything he does. Like, man, that's like a crack in the sidewalk, and a little bit of water gets in there, and over time it freezes and just fucking This is not. It's people. I think people are. I don't want to say people are dishonest, but I think people are more dishonest with themselves than they are with other people.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'll lie through my teeth to someone else, but I'll be damned if I'm going to lie to myself. I will lie point blankly to another human being. I mean, obviously, if it's like non-trivial shit. The only reason, and I can tell you this unequivocally, the only reason I'm honest about hopefully everything, and I try and keep an eye on that, is not because it's not because of how dishonesty makes the other persons feel. It's how dishonesty makes me feel. Because if you're self-aware at all, it should make you feel like garbage.
Right.
And most people are they're willfully blind to their own self-awareness of their situation that they've A, put themselves in, but B, can pull them out of, so that they don't have to feel like garbage. Yeah. That's a lot.
That was a lot.
Didn't think we were going to go there. I just try and be happy. That's really what it comes down to. Like, I don't care about like the sanctity of the industry anymore. That'll sort itself out. The industry's fine. But it's just when it comes down to people like just trying to force like a non-fitness shaped peg into a fitness shaped hole. It's like, you can be down with fitness. Great example. Smokey the Assistant. If you're not following Smokey the Assistant on Instagram, why do you have Instagram? I was out in Edmonton, Alberta a few weekends ago, and Smokey's just a friend of mine. And now Edmonton had a big fitness conference. There's a bunch of, I'm going to call them influencers, trainers, coaches, whatever, that were speaking. I was there, same bullshit, speaking, all that. But we've known Smoke for a few years, met him through the internet. Likes fitness. He was kickboxing.
Yeah.
Kickboxing national champion, 6'6", painted toenails, studded shoes, but he's an iron worker. Like, he's an installer for an iron working company. So Smoke will go out on like beams over 500-foot mines, like pit mines that go down like fucking Lord of the Rings. Like, if you fall, you're pretty sure a dragon's gonna like chase you down to the bottom. And I remember being with Don Saladino, friend of the show, very accomplished coach and trainer. And it was me, Schultz, Smokey, and Don all weekend. And Don kept asking Smoke, are you a coach, a trainer? He goes, nah, man, I'm an iron worker. And Don couldn't, not that Don couldn't figure it out, but in a weekend that was so ripe with just fitness douchebaggery, there was Smoke that probably could have gone up there and just told everyone exactly what to do, why they were wrong, tell everyone how to train. Really, really smart. But he's like, yo, I it's me and this guy fucking Marty, this Austrian newfie, that we go out in a truck. We go up to the Yukon. I get to wear an acetylene torch and I tack weld shit of fucking 500. And, mines get built and people get their gasoline and pipes get built because of the shit that I do. And it's pretty cool. And I was like, Smokey's the guy. He's 23 years old, the fucking guy. And, you got trainers out here and they're, are you a man over the age of 42? Do you not get boners in the morning? DM me boner to apply. Get the fuck here. Let me tell you something. Not the guy. No. Not the guy, because Smoke wakes up with a torch on his back and a horn up to midnight, and he's ready to go. It's just man, fitness does not. You can be passionate about fitness, sure, but it doesn't have to be your fucking job. If anything, and I was told this at a young age, and I think it was somewhat of a litmus test. If you want to ruin your passion, make a business out of it. Now, luckily for us, education and fitness are slightly different, but they're close enough. Where it's you really, when you own a business, and it's going to sound weird saying this, but I feel slightly comfortable because you're here. When you own a business of our size, it will 100. I don't think you can get to that point without having a passion for it. And,
right.
We've been at this for 8 years now. That alone. And we could go through. We actually got John Hollier wants us to come on his podcast together.
Sick.
And he wants to talk about the development of the business over the years, which I think is a big honor. But he knows a lot of the attrition stories, and it's it's better to find out or ruminate or reflect on your position with fitness before things get out of hand, before other people are involved, before you finding out has consequences. Because I did that before. The whole getting married thing. And I hate to bring it up, but I've come to so much peace with it that I think it's actually it's a cornerstone moment in my life that I think might be helpful for others, because it's a big deal. But I should have thought way more. Why did no one tell me? But it's just it's the same thing with this, because I know so many people that wake up tomorrow and they're 50 and they look across and they're like, yo, she's not it, right? Or these kids ain't it, but there you are. And guess what? You wake up the next day and you'll be dead. Yeah. And I know so many people who wake up and they go to their training job and this ain't it. And so, they go to their laptop and they go to their spreadsheets and and they do it anyways. It's dude, if you have that thought, think about just how short life is, because man, one day I think you're gonna see. You're going to see the ramifications of this come to light more and more and more. You're going to see people break. We're not tough, man. My dad went to a job he hated every day for 30 years to put food on. We're not that anymore, dude. We're not that. Right? I remember when my mom found out that I got divorced. I didn't tell her for 6 months. Damn. I was sleeping at a refugee hotel in fucking Redwood City. And, but tough. Her mom worked. She worked. Issues with your marriage. You're Catholic. Of course you have issues with your marriage. You stick it out. For when? Until you die. That was the deal. The whole death do us part thing. I was like, yo, that's I'm going to bring that doorstep right up here. I'm going to do the death thing now. But it's we're not that, man. Yeah. His dad worked in a timber mill. Classic newfie. Right? He died young of lung cancer because he was breathing in sulfur from timber mills that he worked. He had 7 kids, 8 kids on a single income. Are you nuts? You don't think Frank Shallow would have loved to have been able to shut her down and try something new? Fuck that. He just threw another dart in his mouth and went back to work. Those days are done. That does not exist anymore. Those people, that gene pool is not there. Stop trying to do it, because trust me, your day will come. You will break and it will be bad. So if you just go, maybe I'm going to just try something else, then do that. That's all I got. I can't do any more.
I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
I mean, without diving back into it, I think it's just like, I don't know, do people not have friends to like tell them the things that like, are people worried about hurting people's feelings? Like, hey, if like it's okay to do something else.
I think people are very offended now. Also,
you think that would offend someone? Like, hey, I was thinking a lot about it. You suck at your job.
Yeah,
should probably
your
do
life
something
sucks.
Yeah.
You should probably end it.
Have you ever thought about how shitty you are and how shitty your life is?
Yeah, just jump.
Let Jordan and I be that friend. But yeah, just, I don't know, have a think. If this, and you know what, if you're on the other side of it and you're like, I thought about it and I really want to do it, fuck yeah, good. You should be able to say that with confidence. But if, you know, to quote Matt Vincent, who said this on the show so famously years ago, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. And I think people are really afraid to sit down and have that honest conversation. And as a byproduct, people are just not happy. And it's like you have so much choice. Like, you don't have to fucking do this. You don't have to be in fitness. You can work out and follow it and listen to a podcast and then, like, I don't know, be an art school teacher or whatever. I don't know what people do, but like, you don't have to do this. Trust me. In the fucking dead hooker hotel getting cucked by Stan Efferding. Like, it's not all it's cracked up to be, right? Okay, without any further ado.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to,
this is weird.
That's it. I mean, there's no way to end it, really.
Yeah. Bye.
See ya.